know and love come to you like the sound of equipment being thrown from a moving van, the sound of dead cell phones and oil rigs, the sound of empty parking lots and school buses. They love to live and live to love. Ladies and gentlemen, Jesus Children of America, the White Stripes.
Hello. Come on in. The water's great. My name is Ryan Schaap, and this is the Hardest Podcast. How's everybody doing? 10 days out to Christmas. Spoiler alert, I'm recording this on the Monday before this comes out. Tuesday in the morning at 3:33 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It is blustery, it is windy, it is dark, and it is miserable outside, but we are in here, and we are talking about the White Stripes. Last week's episode with Gigi Marie, absolute pleasure talking to her. My birthday was on Monday, so the day before that episode came out, I actually watched Citizen Kane. It's in for the first time, and yeah, it was a great flick. Countless things that are relatable to this world in which we live in, and it was really good. And for a movie that I hadn't seen, I kind of get where it's going because of how many times it's been referenced. Just took a swig off this Diet Coke, the fridge cig, as I pointed out in a recent episode, and I got an email or a message from someone that enjoyed that line so much that they were going to include it in their in a book they were writing, in a novel, and that was quite heartwarming. So I'm recording a bit of a test right now. I'm recording this intro with video. There's some things I need to try and figure out. It might work, it might not. It might be ready for Tuesday, it might not. But if you are watching this, I was asked by a loyal listener to share my Hello Operator Jolene picture disc from Sympathy for the Record Industry, and I'm holding it up here at youtube.com/hardestpod2pod, and you can see the A side, there it is, and you can see the B side, and that's cool as hell. And I got that from my sister, and I was insanely appreciative that she would take a very specific link off Discogs and go out of her way to grab that for me. So thank you, Amanda. Yes, my sister's named Amanda. What are we doing this week? Well, before we get into that, I'm going to say that, like I always do, if you want to support this show, throw in a couple of shekels, a couple of dollars, a couple of dollary dues, a couple of, I don't know, English pounds, some francs. Go to buymeacoffee.com/hardestpod2pod. That link again is buymeacoffee.com/hardestpod2pod. If you want to support this show monetarily, buying lights, buying cameras, buying fancy microphones, buying Hotel Mira merch at the show. I'm just kidding. That came out of our own pocket. But yeah, if you like what we're doing and you want to show some support, and you can, and it's in the budget, because it is the worst possible time to be asking for any cash. But yeah, around Christmas, because hey, things are expensive. But if you like what we're doing, you can help support us at buymeacoffee.com/hardestpod2pod. So Thursday night, I get a random email out of the blue from a gentleman by the name, one of the fat cats at Third Man Records, Ben Blackwell. I have reached out to him a couple times via email and DM. I had some really dumb guy questions to ask him, and he is the knower of all things. And I wanted to let him and let Third Man Records know what we were doing, and just saying, hey, we're here to celebrate. So I hope that's cool. He sends me an email to my email. Oh, that being said, you can now send emails to Ryan at hardestpod2pod.com. You can still send them to hardestpod2pod@gmail.com, but they will get forwarded to this new email. It's all part of a couple of fun initiatives I'll be working on over the Christmas break. So emails can be sent to Ryan at hardestpod2pod.com. And yes, that means that we own hardestpod2pod.com. So Blackwell sends me an email in the midst of the Thursday nighter. I think the Bucks were playing the Falcons. And it just all caps, which I found odd. All caps in the subject line. Final, I'm finding it easier to be a gentleman, or forever the Union. And he just says, this would have been helpful for your most recent episode. And I got pretty fired up. I got pretty stoked that he was aware of what we were doing and what song we talked about, that being the Union Forever. And I read it aloud, and because my wife, the other Amanda, really wanted to hear it. And I was like, God, this is really long, but it was incredibly helpful. And he goes into, he goes into a query, a bit of a dispute, an argument with Jack about properly and accurately transcribing the words to I'm finding it harder to be a gentleman every day. And it was really interesting, really insightful. It provided a lot of context into that song, but it also provided a lot of context into the Union Forever. Particularly, that song had been around for a while. Gigi and I didn't get into the brass taxes, but that song had been around since Two Star Tabernacle. When they recorded it for White Blood Cells, they forgot to record the bridge, the chant, "There is a certain man." And Ben writes about bringing that up to Jack and them just recording it on a whim without music, which it had not been done in the past, just with the tapping. And they were able to just easily insert it into what would be the version that wound up on White Blood Cells. I was so appreciative for the context and the information, and I replied back immediately. I'm like, what is this from? I was kind of reflecting that, I would say the 2010s, maybe a handful of years there, not all of them, but maybe for 5 years, I just kind of took a step back from the White Stripes or Third Man Records. And I was like, did I miss something? Like, I know about the books, and I'm like, I shouldn't have missed this. So I replied to Ben. I say, thank you so much for reaching out. Can you tell me what this is from? And he doesn't get back to me. My correspondence with him have been quite coy. I respect the hustle. I respect the cards close to the vest or whatever it is they're up to. And he didn't get back to me. And then by yesterday, I was like, what is that from? And so I type in the all caps subject line, and it gets it transfers me to a news article which features an advanced excerpt of the White Stripes Complete Lyrics 1997 to 2007. Yes, the book that I invested in to start this project that sits on my desk permanently in front of me to use for research and all that jazz. The stupid thing was right here. And I'm showing it on youtube.com/hardestpod-to-pod. Verbatim, everything that Ben Blackwell sent me was already on my desk. So I sent him another email saying, hey, thank you for looking out for me. And I wish I utilized the tool I bought for one specific reason. I wish I utilized it for that one little reason there. So a humbling experience, if you will. So we're talking about handsprings this week. And I've got a Third Man Records reissue right here, which came out Record Store Day, I believe. It has Handsprings as the A-side, Red Death at 6:14, which is one of my favorite White Stripes songs, as the B-side. You got Meg holding a bowling ball, looking cool and fly as hell. We're talking about handsprings. In my email with Mr. Blackwell, I also said, hey, it's Christmas time. Spoiler alert, I bet you can guess what song we're doing. Do you have any little tidbits or information for candy cane children? Which we're going to do that song next week. So the week of Christmas, we're going to do, I wouldn't call it much of a Christmas episode, but sure, it is the hardest podcast to podcast Christmas special. And we're gonna go over that fantastic song and the unique single that is "Merry Christmas" from the White Stripes. As it stands, I'm going to take the following week after Christmas off. That is, let's just say on Tuesday, December 30th. Unless things drastically change, I'm kicking my feet up and, I'm going to relax a little bit, and there won't be an episode that Tuesday. But I assure you, I will be spending my holidays researching and ingesting and dissecting some White Stripes media and content for a special little project that I hope to be launching soon. At this point in the show, it is now time for our call to action. I need everybody on here to hit pause on this podcast episode. Go to your streaming platform of choice. Go find Handsprings. Go find the Handspring single and listen to the A-side of Handsprings, a song about pinball and bowling that was supplied to a hyper-specific zine and a hyper-specific music label, whatever you want to call it, a hell of a compilation. Hit pause on this. We want the fat cats at Third Man to know that every time we do a song, there's a little bit of a blip in the streaming data for the song we do that week. And then slowly as we get bigger and bigger, so does that blip. So this call to action, taking a moment to listen to this song helps us because it makes that blip in the streaming data increase every so often. And it helps you because then the song is as fresh in your minds as it was in Josh and my minds as we discussed it. And with that being said, it's time for our dear friend Josh Custodio to return to the hardest podcast to podcast to talk all things pinball and all things white stripes. Our guest this week joins us for their second appearance on the podcast. He is the host of the Wrestling Brain podcast and Twitch stream, and most importantly, a pinball aficionado. He is Josh Custodio. Josh, how are you doing tonight? Give me your elevator pitch on pinball.
I'm well. Pinball is the perfect balance of skill, luck, and the marriage of your IPs. And Ryan, how many two-time guests have there been in the history of the hardest podcast to podcast?
You are the third.
Who are the other two? What sort of class of person am I in here?
Update. You are the fourth.
Oh, okay. So never mind. They're having any old one. You must have been who canceled this week, I guess is the real question.
Yeah, somebody put some duct tape over the lock on the back door, and they're just coming on in and one after another.
Yes, that makes perfect sense. Happy to be here, man. And yeah, pinball to me, so here's what's funny, Ryan, and I don't know if maybe you feel the same about this. People talk about they struggle to have their attention held, or they say, oh, my attention span's getting shorter. Everybody's attention spans are getting nuked, which is true to some capacity, but like longer content is also more popular than ever. So put that in one bubble over here. But this to say that I found for myself, however true that may be, on the video game front, when I'm creating stuff, things that are difficult to a point or occupy my whole attention actually allow my brain to be free in a way where none of the stresses of my life can sink in, and none of the whatever else might be latently on the back of my mind is making its way to the front. Pinball both asks you to learn the machine that you're on. Every pinball game is unique and a game unto itself. Well, of course, sticking to the rules of pinball, but it's asking your brain to say, keep track of what is happening, remember it for the next game, and ply what's working until the next game. On top of that, you are mechanically with your hands making your game survive. You need to get more information, and in that hand and eye and brain activity, I find peace. And if there's a cold beer in the cup holder on the side, I think that's damn near my nirvana if it's Friday afternoon.
That is, I couldn't sum up a game as, I feel like pinball is the most mechanically simple yet complicated and complex, arcade game or bar game out there. Like its technology has not evolved in I don't know 50, 60, 70 years. The goal is the same thing. There's two mechanical flippers, and the only thing that's kind of changed is one, the IP, and two, the elaborate bells, whistles, and general distractions that come with it. And tell me if I'm talking out of school here, but when it comes to arcade games, if the White Stripes were an arcade game, would they be a pinball machine?
Yeah, that feels like an assurity to me because it's the real thing. They're analog, right? Pinball. No, there's exceptions to that, but largely they are analog. The ball is working because of gravity. There's no math at play. There's no there are electronics, but only on like a scorekeeping and making the animatronics move sense. What's happening is real, and you can affect it in real ways. You know, you can move the machine. You're trying to dodge a tilt, but it's so grounded. I would be surprised if Jack White doesn't have Third Man Records. You've been there. I've got to think there's a pinball machine somewhere in there. No,
there's got to be one out back. If they had a pinball machine in the front there, people wouldn't be buying stuff. They'd be bringing in a case of Miller Lite. They'd be playing, they'd be bringing in a sack of quarters, and they'd never leave. They wouldn't turn anybody over. So you
do have my brain going though. Like, of all the bands that suit a pinball machine, the White Stripes are certain, because you think of their iconography. I don't need to tell you, but you if I said, hey, Ryan, what's a White Stripes pinball machine? You could name off a dozen things it would have. And I think a lot of people could, the big peppermint swirl. We're all going to say that's the backdrop to the thing, right? Like they have so much to play with iconography wise. They're a great candidate for it.
Seven Nation Army is playing, and then when you hit the extra ball or the big double points that goes into the chorus or the solo. Okay, so how much money is it going to take for us to build a White Stripes pinball machine and then get it approved by the fat cats down on Third Man? Like,
you should get the fat cats on the horn. I don't have the banana at my desk anymore. I got all my banana as a phone gag juice. I would have brought it to the hardest podcast to podcast, but I ate that banana.
The song this week is Handsprings, and it's one of the coolest White Stripes songs that they recorded. It's one of the most unique. It stands out. It's standing on the shoulders of giants in terms of just garage rock kind of blistering anthems that they have. And before we dive into the song itself, I can't think of a cooler way to release a song like this than in for a underground indie zine called Multiball that combined the two passions, probably of ours, at least of yours, of pinball and punk rock and garage rock. So this was a sick zine that was in the 90s and early 2000s, and bands would contribute music essentially about pinball or pinball adjacent, and up and coming bands like it was the Dirt Bombs and the White Stripes had a split A side, and so you'd buy this zine, the zine. Is it zine or zine?
Yeah, so for me, I think zine, but I'm not dying on that hill. I think it's a small magazine, so it's zine. It's like Chael, short for Michael, but no switch. So I'm going to say zine is my understanding.
I like that. So for this zine, it's the coolest magazine I can think of. It's about all things that you find in a good scuzzy bar in Detroit, and that's pinball machines and a garage rock band. For example, in the issue of this episode of Multiball magazine that the Handspring single came out with, you will find news and features on Pachinko, Las Vegas Pinball Guru, Pin City, and much, much more. You're going to want to read that cover to cover, aren't you?
Well, in a pre-internet age, a pinball magazine actually makes a world of sense, right? Because these games, now if you want to learn a pinball machine, you can type in the name of the machine and how to play on your phone. And somebody will make a YouTube video or a how-to or some sort of walkthrough. But if you didn't want to just sacrifice a ton of quarters, a printed magazine that's saying, hey, we'll show you the game map for whatever the big game of the day. And I don't even know if they did this, but it makes a ton of sense. And upcoming releases, the gossip mill, it makes a ton of sense to me. I would have definitely liked this magazine. Although that said, man, I'm such a sicko for this sort of thing. I just miss magazines. Like, I'm not nostalgic for too many things, but I would be, if there were magazines out there monthly. I think I've posted this before online, but it's like somebody should just release a magazine of all of my interests that comes out every month in one magazine. I would subscribe so quickly.
I love getting magazines. When I first lived on my own, I had I had Rolling Stone and one other one, and just sitting through it and thumbing through it, and it's like, this is going to guide my next month of consumption and just kind of decisions I'm going to make and what I should pay attention to. So yeah,
monthly is a nice information feed. Hey, once a month I'm going to get a huge dump about the things I'm interested in. Or for me, I had Nintendo Power, Rolling Stone, and GQ. So I guess whatever those release, but I forget what the release schedule is. But all to say, it's not like now where I'm inundated with shit constantly, right? I'm getting the movies, the culture, the video games, but on a drip that's just a lot more fulfilling, I guess.
And you answered your own question by asking what GQ's publication or publishing schedule is. GQ, of course, stands for Gentleman's Quarterly.
That's where they started, but I believe they went monthly at a point. Did they not?
Well, they got to change the name.
Well,
There's nothing funnier to me than the idea of a magazine called Gentleman's Quarterly. That just,
yeah.
I will always laugh at that.
Especially when they're not vetting if you're a gentleman or not. I mean, I was 14 getting it. I was a deviant. I was the furthest thing from a gentleman you could imagine. I was reprehensible. I was okay.
Let's talk about this song because a couple episodes ago we discussed in detail Jimmy the Exploder and a lot of the White Stripes lore, a lot that they talk about. If you're going to tell somebody, if we're building our White Stripes pinball machine, it has a lot of childlike imagery. It's just of these like two colorful brother and sister characters getting into mischief, and a lot of their songs, a lot of their big songs are, very genuine. We are going to be friends, or Jimmy the Exploder fell in love with a girl, etc., etc. This is a song that really deviates from it, and it's a song about, essentially being either in your late teens, your early 20s, you're in a relationship, you're really grappling with insecurity and just being shown up and kind of being be your relationship being on display and having people get involved, whether it's your doings or not. So compare, when you listen to this song, when you listen to the story that Jack White is telling, what comes to mind, and does it kind of really differentiate from their usual fare on their albums?
We'll answer that on two fronts, because on one front, no. Like if you're describing a White Stripes song as riffy, you're referring to like a chunky 3-chord guitar part. And then it's like, oh yeah, the guitar, the White Stripes are riffy. On this song is both riffy in that sense, but to my knowledge, really, Rag and Bone maybe has a dose of this, but on wide scale, this is the most just on the mic riffing it feels like Jack White is ever doing. It feels like he is casual and singing what he sees and rambling, man. And so in those ways, I would actually say it's quite a departure from a White Stripe song. It's very slice of life, and he feels very at ease. But it is ultimately riding a very chunky guitar part and a very basic drum piece. So yeah, in that way, it follows sort of the tenets that you would call the White Stripes.
Absolutely. And it's what's interesting about the White Stripes songs, like in the subject of, they write a lot of songs about being kids and what have you. This is a song that's not about being a kid, and naturally, as I started to kind of look at the themes in this song and think about other White Stripes songs that aren't about being kids and being a bit older, they're all kind of depressing, and they're kind of not that jovial. You have Handsprings, the guys in this song, Jack is insecure that his girl doesn't like him enough anymore. You have songs like I Want to Be the Boy to Warm Your Mother's Heart, and he's like, man, I hope I can finish high school just to make your mom notice I'm around and everything. They're when it comes time to writing about real life issues, they kind of don't paint it with the nicest of brushes or the most jovial of tones.
I don't even know that he broaches it. Like when I think of Jack White's songwriting,
Mhm.
the ones that you mentioned are more like examples proving the rule that he just isn't dealing with stuff that's all that. He likes metaphor and simile and mystery and writing devices. You know, there's that again in this way. I feel like Handspring sort of stands out. But yeah, so I'm sure I could find examples on the other side of the coin, but in general, I feel like he's just being vaguer is
Mhm.
more my read on it, just as a general writing tenet for Jack White.
Do you find the writing like this is do you find the writing or the story he's telling in Handsprings to be vague or just like on the absolute nose of you can put yourself in that situation and know exactly what at least one of the characters is going through?
Yeah, the latter. This is more to my songwriting tastes. Direct. I know where I am, and through that, I know where I would listen to this song. Like
Mhm.
anyone who's put this song on and has listened to it lyrically for a moment is like, God damn! If I was chilling at a bar, this would be one to have on. You know, punch the jukebox twice and put on Handsprings. And so,
Oh,
yeah, this is. Especially as I get older, I certainly find that I have more of a penchant for more direct songwriting where I am not. There are nice times where I feel like I am unlocking songs, and there are songwriters I really like in that vein. Isaac Brock from Modest Mouse would be a great
yep.
example of somebody who's drenching things, and some songs are sort of puzzly in nature. But I have a lot more heart for, let's say, like James Murphy from LCD Sound System, or even rappers, I guess, who are really do this, like a Lupe Fiasco, where it's you're getting a real picture of their thoughts sort of just said to you in a way that's so direct it almost feels. I was going to say more powerful, but that almost seems obvious. But like it's so direct, it's almost disarming. Like it's somebody. I don't know if you've met somebody like this, maybe a coworker who's
Yeah.
so nice and earnest. You're like, are you fucking with me? Like, or
Yeah.
like, is this like what? And then over 2 weeks, you're like, oh no, this is the best person here. Like, this is who I want to be spending my time with. But initially, it's like, I don't know how to read this. It's
Yeah.
so coming at you.
And that's what and this song, you know, regardless of if this incident happened, I doubt it did, but he's singing a song from a place that seems very real, very genuine, and just feeding off those emotions of being uncomfortable in your skin and you know, worried that the person that you care about is not going to feel the same way towards you, and there aren't a lot of songs like this in their catalog that do it, and you know, you kind of have to go to songs and read between the you know, the whimsical like lines and determine that, okay, this, you know, he's singing about a woman that it's not working out in his favor. So this song for me really, it just sticks out. It's like hitting. It sticks out like a sore thumb of White Stripes songs. It's like it's the one you've bashed your thumb with a hammer when you're trying to set nails, because it's so belligerent. It's so right at you, and you can't exactly get a different message from this song. Josh, as you're listening to these lyrics, and you're kind of putting yourself in that position of this person that's having a bad time at the bowling alley. What resonates with you? What stands out? What what is this song? What kind of picture is this song painting for you?
Yeah, it makes me miss this White Stripes. In preparation for this show, I listened to this whole album, self-titled, and you could make a real argument this is their best album to me. It's not my choice, but this is when you think of a band's first album, this is so what you think it is, like the unpolished, loud, raw, but the pieces are all still there.
Yeah.
And so I'll dial it into Handsprings here in a second, but I think it's true of the whole album, but especially this song where like it's not so formulaic yet, and it's not so married to the gimmick, and it's not so drenched in its own style. And of course, that's the Stripes' best weapon too later on in their career. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that the absence of it is felt on this album in a good way for me. Like if I was going to put on a White Stripes album on my bike ride, I'd be more likely to put this album on than a lot of them. It's a can of whoop ass. And so when you dial that down to this song and what do I resonate with in it? It makes me feel young, and it makes me feel sort of whoop assy, and it makes me want to play pinball.
I love that you brought that up because, you know, the White Stripes had their presentation down to a T. It was, this is how we're going to present ourselves. This is how we're going to look. This is how we're going to sound. This is how we're going to act. This song came out at a time where they didn't have that at their fingertips yet. They still were a hustling band. You know, they're gigging in their van. They're taking gigs with bands that don't look like them or don't sound like them or don't kind of fall under their umbrella. And like, you know, this song winds up appearing in this on the split single, but it also appears in this compilation called Hot Pinball Rock Volume 1 that's got these guys that look like they had about 900 beers on the cover. And one of them,
I gotta listen. I bet that album kicks ass. I've never been so sure of anything. I bet that album is great.
It fucking probably kicks ass.
Yeah, I'm certain that's true.
But like, you know, here's a song from the White Stripes on there on this compilation, and it's got these drunk guys in a bar holding a switchblade up to the camera. And it's like, yeah, the White Stripes eventually got to where they wanted to go. And Jack White had this vision, and so did Meg, of this kind of blues performing, kind of childlike, color-coded, you know, stick out like a sore thumb. I keep going back to sore thumb, but like very particular vision for what the band looked like or was going to be. But at this time, they're still trying to sell people on who they are and what that image is. And man, they just sound like they obviously stand out, but they sound like just an aggressive garage rock band just trying
they're a bar band here.
Yeah. And it's an era. It's an encapsulation of a very specific era of, we're trying to figure out our identity, and we're trying to make the music that's going to resonate. And fuck, man, if they don't do it perfectly on this.
No doubt. Yeah. It totally captures an energy that I think is probably harder to capture once you're older too. So good to do it early in your career.
I truly love this song. If you go and watch any live versions of it, a lot of the time it's just Meg playing drums and Jack, like you said, singing about what he sees, and it just kind of he almost little rooms it a bit. Like, here is a very pure and raw emotion, and we're just going to simplify it so much because, you know, the riff is sick, but this is a song that is insanely lyrics heavy and lyrics dependent. And it's really, I don't know, it's a powerful song. Josh,
I couldn't find that many live versions of this song. I found one where Meg is so hilariously out of time that I am like aghast. I was like, if I would have seen this band, I would be like, all right, we're done here. But I couldn't, they don't seem to have it in the live set that often.
No, they only performed it 10 times.
Okay. Well, that makes me feel better. Yeah. I found one. And again, it's like, have you heard this song before, Meg? But I guess they hadn't played it in a long time. Maybe.
Well, can you imagine like, you know, it takes two to be in time, and as out of time Meg can be, we watched Jack White perform live, and like, that bastard is getting fast at the willy-nilly.
She's not consistent. Trust me, I'll send you this video. There's no mistake about who's out of time here. Not that Jack is hard to chase, but she's not consistent to herself.
For a song that they compiled in the year 2000, and it's like, over the next 5 years, I might randomly call for it. Twice over the next 5 years, like, and for a band that doesn't practice, like, you better be ready. But yeah, thank God.
I would agree with you if the song was a like, I don't know any drummer 6 months in that couldn't keep this time. I'm not willing to meet you halfway here. If this was a part or involved something to remember, if it took 30 seconds to fall into it, this one, it's the one where I go then I would understand. But no, I don't lend her that forgiveness here.
In in preparation for doing this podcast and launching this, you mentioned just like you brought up handsprings and just the significance of it. What's like to you? What makes this song so special?
Yeah, well, again, I don't want to be reductive, but it captures this era of the White Stripes that I hold increasingly dear. It is unique in Jack's way of actually talking about something here. I think the delivery of the line, "Is that one quick enough for you, Mr. Clean?" or whatever it is so
Yep.
snarky and like a look into what the younger on the beer Jack White might have looked like. I think all of us in our moments have thought of delivering a line that cool and that slickly. And so, yeah, I guess that's what stands out about it to me.
Not that I would say that he's a hothead or a bit of a brawler, but you know, he has a pretty storied history of standing up for what he believes in and doing what he needs to do to express that. So, you know, the idea of him, you know, having to bow up to somebody at the bowling alley for because he thinks that what's happening is not right or what it should be. It's very believable. After what happened.
You don't think he's a hothead?
I think I don't want to just say like, oh, he's just like a full, like, I think he can be like, what happened with the guy from the Von Bondies was like Jack went out of his way to produce their record. He took them on tour when they were like the White Stripes were here and the Von Bondies were down there, and he you know, with no other words, it felt like a betrayal because Jason Von Bondi would then go on to shit talk him in you know, in indie rock circles or in interviews, and he's just like on the side like, man, I just did all this shit to help you guys. And, you know, I'm giving you what I hoped somebody or would have done for us in our early days, or maybe they did. And you're returning the favor by just trying to sound like the coolest kid in school and talking shit about us. Like, go fuck yourself. So in that situation, I think he's a hothead.
I was thinking more about the letter about Dan Auerbach and their kids going to the same school. This fucking jerk on, how dare he send his kid? And listen, let me say this. Let me go on the record because I don't want to be misunderstood here. I love Jack White and I hate the Black Keys. I hate the Black Keys more than Jack White does. And I am a hothead. So let's get this page 1 and 2 already filled.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the language he uses in that letter about Dan Auerbach is that of a guy who was brought to passion easily. And then also, we're always putting together the puzzle pieces. We don't know these people, but in a fully parasocial sense, he's so principled. And I don't know about, maybe hothead is something we'd have to dial in the definition of, but certainly straight edge people that I know and very, I'm doing it right and this is the way people do often come part and parcel with some temper and tantrum in my experience.
But if it comes down to principles, then I completely resonate with him because I can be really even keeled and water off a duck's back. But if I feel like somebody is doing something wrong or like, you know, morally malicious towards me, then yeah, I will do what I need to do and vocalize that and put myself in a spot where I stand for what I believe in. And
not me. When my principles are pushed, I cower like a rodent. Have you seen Charlotte's Web? I'm like the fat rat at the end of the carnival, looking around for a half truth. Who would disagree with what you just said? Yeah. When people push my principles, I'm willing to stand up for it. Yeah. I would hope so.
Yeah,
it's a guy who I feel like he would snap to it and be brought to anger quicker than the average bear, not in some sort of principle war. And if Dan Auerbach's kid going to the same school as you is crossing line of principles, I think that only points my part harder than I could possibly imagine.
I gotta hang out with this guy at assemblies and parent-teacher conferences when he's ripping me off.
he's putting out a letter to his lawyer. Get this kid's son withdrawn from my kid's school. You already ripped off my band. And again, I think it's giving the Black Keys too much credit to say they whipped off the White Stripe.
Yeah,
and you want to talk about a drummer who can't play either. Patrick Carney, that every live performance, they're half speed by the end. Gah, 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 a little black.
Let's slow this one down, fellas.
Don't like that, man.
How can you rip off the White Stripes when every time I see a photo of that band live on stage, there's like one or two more extra touring members up there?
Yeah, they got a trumpet player up there, for God's sake. Please.
So yeah, I absolutely agree with you that he's a principled guy and he'll deal with it how he sees fit, and it comes out in a couple of very prolific moments in the public eye, and it really comes out in this song here. There's a couple of lyrics here that I do really love. I keep talking about how on this show I'm developing like a White Stripe supercut, a White Stripe sizzle reel, where like if you have a couple, let's say somewhere between 5 and around 5-10 seconds of a song that really defines the band or captures it. I've got the last verse of our last chorus of I Just Don't Know What to Do With Myself. I've got the impassioned part of This Protector. And when I hear him say, and he's looking at her the way I did when I first met her, like there's something in his voice that he goes somewhere and it's incredibly real. And he's reaching for something that he knows firsthand of. I'm in a tough spot, and that new guy over there is feeling what I once felt, and I don't know if I'm ready for somebody else to feel that.
Definitely.
Yeah. And like, yeah, it just paints this perfect picture of a guy. Let me ask you this. Let's talk about the characters in this song. We're just going to say it's Jack, the other guy, and his girl.
Well, he can be Mr. Clean.
Yeah, we got Jack, we got Mr. Clean, and his gal. He took his girl. In this story that he's telling, is Jack in the right? Is Jack in the wrong? Do you sympathize with him, or are you going like, Jesus Christ, you got to rein it in, pal?
No, I'm a loyal guy. Jack's in the right. Just that simple with me.
That's tough but fair.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think that he's speaking to human emotions and some, because it can go either way. I've had a moment where somebody's hitting on my girlfriend at a bar, and I walk up, and then the guy's like, oh, sorry, man. Like, oh, yeah, good for you. You guys have a great night. It's like, yeah, all right, man. Yeah. But it can also bring about feelings of like, I guess if you're feeling a little insecure, especially if the guy's better looking than you, or taller, or Portuguese Canadian, or something like that, it might put the hair on the back of your neck up. You get a little nervous.
Yeah.
So in that way, he's insecure in being the antagonist.
Yeah. Now let's talk about this country pinball machine called Stand By Your Man. How do you think you would fare at that pinball machine?
Not good. But that's more a statement on where I am with pinball now. Pinball is very much one of those things. COVID really took two things from me in terms of the hobbies of my life. I don't play music anymore. I never pick up my instruments. And I don't play pinball anymore. I play pinball if it's around, but I used to play pinball most weekends at some point or another in my life. And so those two things I don't do near as often. I have noticed my decay, even on machines that I consider myself pretty good at. I used to be top 5 at the Wizard of Oz machine at Pub 340 and the Sopranos machine at the Ballantine. I had one, or I can't remember, but my scores on there forever. Yeah. And then I jumped on those machines. This was out in the States a couple weekends ago. The place had them both. It was like, God damn, I can barely play them. So I don't think I would do great at any pinball machine beyond, and I don't know, maybe you could say if you think I'm right or wrong here. I don't think most people know what pinball is. So I would do better at it than the average bear who has no idea what pinball is. Like, in my opinion, most people think pinball is like, just keep the ball up as long as you can. That's all pinball machines are. Just keep the ball up as long. You kind of aim at flashing lights maybe, but that they have no concept of they're selecting something on the screen with the flipper or certain are triggering certain things. Very little working knowledge. I'd do better than the average bear from a pinball standpoint, but relative to if I had to face off against 16-year-old me, he'd give me a noogie.
Oh yeah, he'd mop the floor with you, and then he'd stand up to you if you went in there with your gal. Like, hey, I'm buying
He
this.
beat me up too. He's got every advantage on. I could have to go to better than him at. Oh yeah, I'd like to see him broadcast about wrestling.
He's picking it up pretty well. I can see. Ah, shit, goddamn.
Like a natural.
With pinball, like, I think that the average person looks at it and just like reacts. They don't think about. They're like, oh, it's loud, it's buzzing, it's it's set up to disorient you. It's essentially a casino in Vegas. So like nobody thinks. They just like, I'm going to do everything I can, and then the ball comes down to the flippers, and they freak the fuck out, and they don't know what to do.
That's right.
next.
Yeah, they get very nervous as soon as the ball's around the flip. No sense of control or aiming it. It's just keep it up, hit it when it's close. And Ryan, it's so interesting. You got me thinking there. Pinball, it is sort of an unlikely thing to still be around. You think about arcade culture, something that I'm so jealous of. I know you're not a big video game geek like I am, but I think I would have really loved arcade culture. Friday night, you're 16 years old, you go to the arcade, you put your quarter up on the machine, you and another, maybe a stranger, play at the winner, depending on the machine, they go, you stay, that you hang out, you get better at a machine, and you're rewarded for being good at it. You're so much about it I love. But I also understood how it goes away as soon as you have home consoles. Like, wait, this thing wants a quarter from me every time I die? Well, at home, That said, you must be right about pinball being attention grabbing or making people react, or else there's no way to explain how they have survived. You can find pinball machines in any town. Yeah. And they earn money. I worked at bars all kinds, and they always earned for us. And so they definitely do still draw attention.
I think with the advent of home consoles and technology getting better and better than we could ever have imagined in terms of video games, like some average person will go into a bar or wherever and see a pinball machine, and it's like, oh, look at this old unassuming, underwhelming, like I can like how hard can this be? How captivating can it be? And $5-6 a quarters later, they're locked in because they've gotten humbled by it so many times, and then you
maybe had one ball that went well. They're like, what did I do there? Hang on.
Which ties in. I never know what we're going to talk about in this episode or the comparisons we're going to make, but like, I don't know. I just keep thinking of the White Stripes live as a pinball machine. Like, you go to a concert and you're like, what? There's only two of them? What? They're dressed the same? Oh, like, what's this gonna do? Like, I see bands of this scope or this size or this this magnitude, and what's this dog and pony show going to do? And then the game starts, it disorients, it's as loud as any other band you've seen, and it absolutely captivates you and takes you on a journey you didn't think was possible for something so goddamn primitive.
Well, and even think of the way they handle their set lists being sort of like a flow chart, like the ball is sort of in motion in a similar way, to run with your analogy. It's interesting about and I wonder because I imagine the White Stripes have toiled with things like this as well. It's a constant discussion in the pinball community because there's very few new original pinball machines put out that aren't tied to this new big movie, or like they have to be sure they're going to be able to sell 3,000 of these things before it hits any bars or anything. It has to be worth. Metallica gets one, the Foo Fighters get one, but so a lot of pinball fans get sad because a lot of the ones that we have nostalgia for are just original Dark Knight or these like things that just exist in the world of pinball, and it's hard to get those made now. But also those are, somebody sees, let's say, a Lord of the Rings machine. That's an IP I like. And if I didn't like pinball, I don't really like the Lord of the Rings machine, but for sake of discussion, I walk into a bar, I'm not a pinball guy. I go, oh, wow, Lord of the Rings. This is some of the characters I like. So it's playing some of the music I like. Yeah. That is what gets me to spend the money and keeps me going in. So there is like a selling out discussion going on there as well.
The way the White Stripes came together as a band and kind of, their goal was to not look or sound or be all of those kind of generic bar bands and stand out. And you're much like a pinball machine. Like, how the hell are we going to sell 3,000 of these without just slapping a Kiss logo on it or making the third Metallica pinball machine? And like, they figured it out, and that's kind of like with any piece of technology or any piece of any pinball machine. Like, you have to, there needs to be this organic and original approach to it, or else it's just going to be a rehash and nobody's going to give a damn.
Yeah, it's true. I also just love that they have a pinball song.
It's absolutely perfect. And
it's like when a band has a song about drinking beer or driving. I'm like, yeah, just write one of those. Get one of those. I'm ready.
You know, I don't like to give them much praise anymore because they are the lamest losers in the world. But Motley Crue hit the nail on the head when they named their box set of all their CDs "Music to Crash Your Car To" Volume 1.
Careful.
And then Volume 2, and I'm like, well, shit, that's on the nose.
No, maybe Volume 2 is music for in the hospital and you're recovering and everything's okay. Don't worry.
Volume 2, dealing with the insurance.
yeah. Entering medical debt.
So this song, like, there's very little about it. You know, it wasn't reviewed. It's, you know, there isn't a snarky Pitchfork article about it. There isn't a live, you know, it's not Jolene. It's not a live staple. Like, this is a song that, it's a little engine that could on its own. It's something that if it, you know, it's not it's not, there isn't a big flashing, you know, light on a pinball machine saying, listen to handsprings, experience handsprings, get emotionally attached to handsprings. It's a song that's just kind of in the weeds, and those that resonate to the themes or the pinball or the sick riff, like, they go. But it's not an accessible White Stripes track.
Does he play any of these songs as solo Jack White from this era?
That's a good
Big
question.
Killed My Baby, maybe.
He does Big Three. Now from the he does Screwdriver, Cannon.
Okay, never mind then, because I'd love to see this make a comeback to the live set. I didn't realize it was so rare as you're hearing you describe it.
Yeah, and you know, a common kind of thread on this song, on this podcast, is like, oh, can you imagine if songs from Icky Thump kind of had the, you know, the shelf life or the opportunity to become a live staple like songs off of their previous records did. You know, it sucks that this song is so good. Like, it is a top White Stripes song for me, but it just never got the attention live. And so when you do come across these occasional recordings, you've got, you know, Meg at her sloppiest, or you've got Jack just little rooming it without anything. Like, I feel like this song is so unique and has so much substance to it that if it got the treatment of, like, I don't know, Jolene or whatever, or any of their big covers in their live staples, like, I think that this would be a sing-along song and something that people, you know, it would be a little more renowned than it is. And then that was like last week with The Union Forever.
For sure. Love that song too.
Yeah. And that's another one that he's playing live. But that's
a good choice for a full band.
Yeah, it's come back, Taking on Life is just as a bit of a protest song against some guys that he doesn't like anymore.
Uh-oh.
But
The Edge? Don't tell me he's turned on The Edge.
The Edge.
Because, you know, their friendship, but I don't want to say it, always tenuous. Because you got Jack, he's out there, he's like, hey, dental floss with a 2x4. And the Edge is like, I can barely play the fucking thing. I play one note and I plug it into 100 units and it makes all the noise in the world. And you could listen on the movie, sure, they're going, oh yeah, let's go, oh, different worlds. But you can imagine Jack chewing on sawdust, being like, that's ain't right. And then U2 puts out some bullshit, downloads itself onto your phone. He's like, I'm done with the Edge. That guy.
Maybe the
lose
Edge
my
is,
number, though.
Hey, you know who's bald?
Who's that?
The Edge.
That's
You know who
100%
also is bald?
These Oops.
Mr. Clean.
Uh-oh. I thought you were saying as a person whose first name is the thing.
So yeah, I think this is a very cool song. It's an all-timer riff. It's got some weird. Can you try to pinpoint what that sound is that you hear? That alarm
Right out the gate. Yeah, the ching 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 ching. I think it's the ball reloading.
Maybe, but I was thinking more of the.
Oh,
like in the later in the song, I don't know if it's what it's meant to sound like or what it is, but it kind of sounds like a pinball alarm essentially going off.
I probably was going to say probably a sound effect from a real machine, I would think.
You'd hope so. They'd probably mic that thing up real good. Josh, as we wrap up talking, listen, like,
hey, we're wrapping up. I just got here.
What else you want to talk about with handsprings?
Right. Well, let me get into it. Here's
Sure.
I got lots more to say.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just wrapping up. I just got. How long were we into this recording?
45 minutes.
Sit back and relax. I got questions for you. No,
Yes, sir.
I will wrap up. Let me say this about handsprings, and that I wish, and this is true for almost every band, that they would stay raw and stay ruthless. And this is the example of the White Stripes doing that. And you said, oh, I wish some of or maybe it's talked about on the show, so I wish some of the songs on Ipky Thump could have gotten. It's like, none of them are as good. So because by that point, it's too glued in, it's too on the rails. What are those Irish jig songs in the middle? Like that, none of that bullshit's happening here. This is so raw and rocking, and I just wanted to make it known that this happens in bands, and I think it's such a marker of what early bands are capable of, and why it's fun to pay attention to bands that are new, and because they often will grow out of this exact energy.
I couldn't agree more. I got distracted by the dog, and I'm like, I thought you were going to jump off there. But no. Let me ask you a question off the hop. Like, the White Stripes didn't stay raw. They, a lot of their albums kind of are very unique to themselves, in terms of sound I love
Get Behind Me, Satan, which is not a very raw album of theirs.
No, of course not. And it is outstanding, and I think that's what makes their decade, their run as a band for that 10 years, just so, so substantial and just so memorable. Like, there was a constant reinvention of a band that is just so, simplistic, on purpose. Off the top of your head, is there a band that you know of that kept the rawness from when they that the rawness from when they became a band, and they were able to successfully preserve that?
It still goes away a bit, but the greatest American rock band of all time, the Ramones, find their pocket and stay within it for almost their entire run. Part of it's because none of them ever get good at playing their instruments, and that like keeps them in like the 2, 3, 4 chord zone. But I remember, and you'll probably remember this, Ryan, where my first iPod, I had an iPod Shuffle, the one that was a stick, and it was 512 megabytes. I think it held 3 songs. It held, you get 3 whole songs on there. No, I'm teasing. I had whatever. I probably had 4 or 5.
No, you had 6 Ramones songs or 3 regular songs.
Yeah, that's right. But I had the whole Ramones live album. I think it was Live the Hits, but it was on the iPod Shuffle. And it's so funny because all of the songs on live album start with 1, 2, 3, 4. And so most other songs in their first second, your brain goes, I know what song this is. But on the iPod Shuffle, listen to the Ramones, these guys were so raw for their whole career that in a live album spanning, 20 songs long, you can't get through it because they'll go, 1, 2, 3, 4 over distortion for the entire time. So that's married to the game, the Ramones.
Would part of you wish the White Stripes remained as raw as that debut album for their career, or is that something that wasn't sustainable?
Yeah, it's totally unsustainable. And I'm very cognizant of this old Isaac Brock quote I've brought him up twice, but from Modest Mouse, where they have their big hit song Float On. It comes out, and I think correct me if I'm wrong, this is their fourth album. Good News People Come for Love, Bad News. And Float On comes out and they sell some car commercials and it's everywhere. And some reporter asks them about selling out.
Yeah.
And he's like, selling out? Like, yeah, come look me in the eye and talk about selling out. I work at fucking Long John Silver's as a dishwasher in between tours. Like, I don't want to hear fucking shit about selling it. I go on tour, lose a bunch of money, and then I go work as a dishwasher to get back out there. So I don't want to hear it. So while I would prefer the White Stripes to stay in the Distill self-titled pocket, that's what I like. I also want success for artists and recognize that it takes Elephant and beyond, and White Blood Cells and beyond, really, to get them to become the quasi-household name. So do I wish it? Only selfishly. I like their career and their career arc, and I don't have any complaints. But yeah, specifically for me in Selfish Land, yes.
The versions of the White Stripes that I love tend to align with those selfish desires of loud, raw, imperfect, a lot of hiss on the tape as they try to capture this raw emotion in one take. But I think the best thing about the White Stripes is, and it didn't translate with this song, was, regardless of how different or how much their sound or their approach to music changed or evolved each album, every time they went on tour, it was still just, we got a drum set, we got some old crappy amps, we got everything that's too far away, and we're playing crappy guitars that don't stay in tune or sound really good, and we're gonna play these songs the way we would have on the first tour or on the Distill tour, because that's kind of what they've had a few North Stars, and one was just, there's only one way that we can perform because there's only two of us and there's nothing to hide behind. So on the record, that rawness never it didn't last until the final album, but come live, man, it was the same sounding chaos and cacophony every single night.
Yeah, I guess I've only done rockers on the show, Black Math and now this, because that is the White Stripes I prefer. Now, of course, I'm here sort of under duress. I said I wouldn't return until doing the ICP, Insane Clown Posse, Jack White collab, Lick Mein Arsch, sampling Mozart. And that is truly my favorite version of Jack White. But outside of that, yes, this is my favorite.
And you will do that because of some plans and some schemes that we've got cooking up behind the scenes, and if this what are good dear friends for other than exploiting them for free podcast labor? Am I right?
Yeah, it's like I got a couple guys who actually move patrons, so here he comes. Yeah. Mozart, dope for the most part. It's just a teaser. One of the hardest, coldest lines of the 2000s. Mozart, dope for the most part, respected because he knows art.
That's just, and that's whether that's Jack getting that out of ICP, or that's ICP just coming in, be like, hit record, we got something for you.
Yeah. I like to think the latter. Violent J just was drinking a Faygo and said, yeah, hit the switch, JW3.
Hey, put this one right to acetate.
I'll save it for the episode.
Yeah, again, to wrap up, do you have any more arguments you would like to make or points you would like to bring to the table?
Not at all.
This is a perfect encapsulation of the White Stripes in about 99 or 2000, a band that is still working to get their foothold in like indie rock and the garage scene, and getting the opportunity to do things exactly what they want. So they're not quite there yet. So they're, I don't know if they would take part in in this kind of split 7-inch for this obscure zine if they were any bigger than they were. Like,
right.
They see it as an opportunity to get publicity and get a few more eyes and a few more ears onto this band that at this point is not very big.
That's cool. It becomes such a cool part of their lore because of that.
Absolutely. And now
If
you're
they
like,
had a bunch of Instagram followers because like some hot single, you don't have this.
yeah. And because they aren't the biggest band yet, they're like, yeah, we'll come up with a song about pinball, even though they're primarily a bowling focused band.
Well, I guess I do have one more thing to say on that.
Yeah.
And you sure I'm not taking it too long here?
No, I am worried. You're doing a double shift. I'm just keeping an eye on the clock, but I love
It's your birthday week. I'll do another 2 hours if you want. And a big happy birthday to Ryan Schaap. If you're listening to this and you haven't hit follow or subscribe on the platform that you're doing it on, what the fuck is wrong with you? You're halfway through the damn show. Hit the button.
Hit the goddamn button.
But what I last thing I'll say, Ryan,
Yeah,
is you and I are from a town where we had a great bowling alley to drink in. I don't know if you ever spent time at Dogwood Lanes drinking.
Come on.
But they are great places to hang. I feel like they're sort of lost now. The one, at least in Vancouver, is much more of like a family friendly sort of. Yeah. I like to go bowling there; it's fine. But the one we grew up in was much more of a. They'd show the fights there on Saturday night, and then there was like a collision of dates and alcoholics and people there for the fights. It was a very unique environment. Yeah, and I don't think I've ever told this story on air before. I don't think. I saw a fight go down at the bowling alley where a guy, so they're fighting in front of the lane, these two guys. Dangerous. And the floor's slippery. And you can tell they're both sort of like, okay, hang on, this is going to play a factor. And one guy thinks he's in a movie. He reaches down and to grab a bowling ball as a weapon. And all of you listening to that, keep in mind, he's in the middle of a fight. And he grabs down to grab the bowling ball as if it's a weapon. All of you already see where this is going. There's like a moment of resistance as it doesn't just come up into his hand like nothing. And the other guy just fucking crushes him. As he's grabbing this bowling ball, the guy just feeds him, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 punches. And the fight is over. But I will never forget. I was like, what was that guy thinking? It's like, oh yeah, I'll just grab this bowling ball because I'm He-Man and I will swing it at this guy with no problem. And instead his arm just goes behind him, gets stuck for a second. He just gets him mauled. I'll never forget it.
You know what that guy? You know what that guy said to him right before he hit him? You quick enough to hit this ball, Mr. Clean?
Give it to him.
Well, like if you think about it, I mean, you and I will regularly joke about the morals and ethics behind street fighting. But if I was in a fight at a bowling alley and a gentleman reached down to grab a object so heavy it could bludgeon me, I think I would become a bit of a Jack White-like hothead and say that is against my principles and against my morals, and now you're really going to have to deal with me.
I say, what are you doing? How do you think this works?
Those things are heavy as shit, man.
You box all the time, Ryan. Yeah. How good of a puncher do you think you are with a bowling ball on your hand?
Well, we have to do runs around the gym with the 10-pound slam balls. Oh. And like by the end of it, I'm holding it like my T-Rex arm. Die. This guy's in the middle of a fight. He's exerting every ounce of energy, and he's like, I'm gonna grab this fucking, I don't know, 15, 20-pound bowling ball and like expect to 3-finger it and smack.
I'll never understand it. What do you think was going to happen? Anyway, that's when I'm thinking about this. I don't think I've ever told that story on air. So there you go. That's if you ever see Todd Bunkman, he was there. You can ask him about that one.
Ooh, Don quality. My Dogwood Lane story is that's the first place that I've got drunk at a bar and pumped the jukebox full of what I wanted to hear.
Good feeling.
And I just remember you
didn't do like the same song.
No. Okay. But I have this vivid memory of like, I'm 19. I'm like, oh, this is what adults get to do. And we got for when the levee breaks off Led Zeppelin 4 blasting as we're shooting pool. Yeah. And I'm like hammered. I'm like, this is what you should be doing on a Saturday night.
I mean, it's true though. Zoobs has remarked on this before, and he's right. Where it's like sometimes he just goes to the bar and like orders wings and a beer and is watching baseball, and he's like, "I'm just as happy. Like I'm so happy right now." And yeah, I'm a simple guy. It doesn't take much. So yes, a full agreement.
There's always room for table for one at your local establishment. They always got room for the lone fella looking there to take the edge off. Josh, the next time you listen to Handsprings, whether that's tonight, tomorrow, or a year from now, after this conversation where we literally talked about this song with almost no history or lore for an hour, what's going to go through your mind?
I'm going to say, wow, isn't Ryan Schaap a nice guy? No, well, I think next time has it been like reframed for me in doing this show kind of thing?
Yeah, or just like, I don't think anybody's, these episodes, we spend an hour talking about a song or an era in the band, and you kind of really you get a little micro focused onto, or is it macro? You get a little
micro. You got it right. Yep.
You got a micro focused on a song or on something that you maybe didn't put that much thought into before. So the next time you revisit it, is it business as usual, or does something stand out, or something is something gonna come to mind that it wouldn't have before?
Well, very directly, my buddy Fruits Are Edible, Craig, he built me a custom fuzz pedal recently, and a Wrestling Brain custom fuzz pedal. Go check that out on my Blue Sky at wrestlingbrain.net. And I've been learning songs on my bass. I haven't played bass, like I was saying, since COVID. And so this song, and revisiting it, I think there's a very good chance I'll go learn this very easy riff on my bass with that fuzz pedal in the next week. So that'll be anything without this show. I certainly wouldn't be doing that. So there you go.
I absolutely love that, because again, you said you're not playing a lot of pinball and you're not playing a nearly enough music. So if we can help guide you in that direction, then I'll take that as a win, and then this a successful venture.
Yeah, I'm a structure guy, man. That's what I miss about being in a band, is just the standing practice every week. I miss going and seeing my friends every week, no matter what. Because Chris is always like, "Oh, come over, let's just jam." But then you maybe do it once every, whatever. But yeah, I miss that part of it.
The older you get, the more you realize that level of structure is so needed in as lives get busier. If you can't say at this time of the week we're doing this for this and that, then the excuses mount up immediately. And that's something. That's an enemy of being an adult and trying to still cling to those that freedom of your youth.
I'll always be a dream chasers, but more and more stuff tries to get in my way.
Okay, that was Josh. I'm Ryan and Josh. You can hear Josh on Wednesdays on AEW Dudes at twitch.tv/wrestlingbrain, and you can hear me producing that. Josh, an absolute dear friend of mine, performed our wedding ceremony last year. That's the quality of that individual. So as I stated off the top, we'll be back next week, the week of Christmas, the week of Santa Claus's big journey. We'll be back next week, the week of Christmas, the week of Santa Claus's big journey, with Candy Cane Children. Merry Christmas from the White Stripes. Merry Christmas from the Hardest Podcast to Podcast. And that's about it, because the Hardest Podcast to Podcast is hosted and produced by Ryan Schaap. Artwork by Catlin Likely. Amanda Schultz is our assistant editorial producer. And Mike Noble is our Gato.